The Hero of Time, probably one of the most well-known links out of all of them, as well as our third entry into this adventure through the Zelda timeline. Time hails from Ocarina of Time as well as Majora's Mask. There's also a manga out there for both of these games, but I didn't really find anything of note in them for this analysis, so we're just gonna move on. He also shows up in Twilight Princess as well as Hyrule Warriors, so we'll briefly be touching upon those two games later on. Now this version of Time is all grown up and has gotten married, and he has retired, but still steps in to help these younger heroes throughout the new adventure. Now before we start talking about the game, let's reiterate what we're doing here. We'll be going over how JoJo had characterized Time in their comic Linked Universe, a comic series that follows 9 links answering the question, what would happen if all the links had to adventure together? I'll be going over every link in the comic, and you can catch episode 0 where I explain what we are doing here in the description below, as well as the fact that you can find the episode before and after this one in the description below as well. Now we have 2 games to talk about, starting off with Ocarina of Time. Link, being a child living in the forest with the Kokiri, never had a fairy like the rest of the kids, until one day Navi shows up telling him that he needs to talk to the Great Deku Tree. There he learns about the Triforce, as well as something not being right in Hyrule, being asked to go to the castle. After sneaking in, Link meets Zelda, who shows him Ganondorf. Oh god, he saw us! No, Zelda, he did not see us. Anyways, Zelda sends Link off to find the spiritual stones. After finding them and trying to return, Zelda is escaping from the castle from Ganondorf. Go away, Ganon! Link retrieves the Ocarina of Time and enters the Temple of Time. Pulling the Master Sword, Link gets sealed away for 7 years. After, Link sets out to find the other sages to help save the Hyrule. There's also this really cool dude named Sheik who helps you throughout the journey and stuff. Awesome! Totally don't know who this is. Oh, what's this? Sheik is Zelda? Nice! Oh, Ganon got her. Not nice. After saving all the sages, Link can finally save Hyrule and Zelda! After defeating Ganon, even using an empty bottle, Link saves Zelda and the two escape the crumbling castle. Oh gosh darn it, Ganon! After Link kills Ganon one more time, he has saved Hyrule, and in the end, Zelda sends him back in time to stop the events of the game from ever happening. Navi? Navi, where are you going? Navi? Navi, no, come back! No! Going to the next game, we have Majora's Mask. In search of Navi, Link goes into the Lost Woods. He runs into a Skull Kid who steals the Ocarina of Time. Link goes after him and ends up being turned into a Deku Scrub. Aw, he's so small! Itty bitty. Link soon meets the Happy Mask salesman, who asks Link to go after a mask that Skull Kid had stolen from him, Majora's Mask. Oh, and there's also a moon falling onto Termina. We'll be here in 3 days. Good luck! After getting his hands on the Ocarina of Time in the final hour, Link goes back to the beginning of the 3 days, able to go back in time endlessly until he is able to collect the necessary items to combat the Skull Kid who's wearing Majora's Mask. Which Link does, setting out to collect all the masks that he needs, and finally goes to the moon to confront Majora. There, he gets his hands on the Fierce Deity's mask. Link uses that power to defeat Majora, saving Termina, and in the end, Link rides off into the distance. From here on out, we will be referring to Link as his hero title, the Hero of Time. We also see that the Hero of Time shows up in Hyrule Warriors as a playable character. There, he can be seen using the Fierce Deity's mask. He isn't DLC, so I'm counting him as showing up as participating in the war. Time also shows up in Twilight Princess, giving the hero of Twilight guidance via sword training as well as teaching him songs as a wolf. Time is clearly a skeleton and is decked out in full armor. This also confirms that the Hero of Twilight is the Hero of Time's descendant from their interactions. Starting off with Link's design in his 2 games. As a child, he wears his classic green tunic, with his hat and brown boots. As an adult, there's not much of a difference, he just has some leggings now. In Twilight Princess, Time wears full armor as well as not having a right eye. In Linked Universe, Time's armor looks like a combination of the Hero's Shade and the Fierce Deity's armor sets, taking elements of both, the Crescent Moon and the Triforce showing up along with the cloth and fabrics combined seamlessly in JoJo's design. Also, it looks like Time has different hair lengths throughout the times before he lost his eye, but currently he is sporting the classic short hair with the middle part. Time's face is actually an interesting point from repeated use of the Fierce Deity's mask confirmed in this chapter. We'll get more into that in the magic section of this video. He also has a scar over his right eye. Concerning. In the comic, Time is using the Big Goron sword as well as the Mirror Shield. We can also assume he uses a bow like the rest of the chain to kill those enemies on one of the nights at camp. But talking about how he fights in the comic so far, we see him mainly using the Big Goron sword. As it is a big sword, the power put behind this weapon when he swings it makes monsters go flying when hit, needing 2 hands to wield. He tends to not use the shield at the same time as his sword because of how big it is. This doesn't mean he only uses these weapons, he also is seen using Din's fire applied to his sword in Sunset Part 2. If I'm wrong, please tell me, but I searched through every game Time has been seen in, as well as like every moveset I could find. I could not find what this was, so I'm just gonna guess that it's Din's fire. Please tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But Time uses large swings to cut down enemies. This is reminiscent on how he fights in the game. Time also uses his large size for an advantage when fighting Lizalfos. 4 rolls under the lizard, only for Time to swing and take him out right over For's head. And lastly, Time doesn't just use his weapons, he also will throw hands if unable to use said weapons, even chucking enemies over his shoulder. Last thing I want to put out in this section is the fact that Time is blind in his right eye. In Deep Shadows Part 1, Time gets attacked out of nowhere from his right side. Unable to see the threat coming, he takes the hit and goes down. Now the Hero of Time has ran into multiple magic items, starting with the Master Sword, taking him and forcing him 7 years into the future, so he is able to wield her. This leads the question about Time's age. Going through the games, starting with Ocarina of Time, it's stated in the Hyrule Historia that Time is 9 years old, and Time jumps 7 years into the future. If we go time traveling the minimal amount of times to beat the game, that would be about 3 times, which would put him roughly around 30. Now, going off of Time's physical age, he is the same age as Malon, who is confirmed to be in her 30s in the comic, putting Time in his 30s as well. So that would mean that he is at least 51 years old mentally. But wait! There's more! Majora's Mask also has some time shenanigans going on, meaning that we can add that time as well, and then there's also his time in Hyrule Warriors, meaning the guess of him being 60 is pretty close, but from Malon's reaction, I honestly don't know. Talking about Time's other magical items, we also see him using a lot of masks. And considering he uses the Fierce Deity's mask in Hyrule Warriors on the regular, it's probably where he got his markings from. But at that same time, we see an older version of him with those markings, before current day. But we know at some point in time, the mask started leaving traces of itself on him more and more. This is probably connected to his height as well. In Ocarina of Time, he isn't that tall, but when we see him in Twilight Princess, he is far taller than the hero of Twilight. This could be from repeated use of masks, stretching and changing his body as he uses them. Let's start off with how Time views his equipment. Starting off with the Master Sword, he doesn't like her, like at all. It changed him, and it forced him to be someone he wasn't ready to be. Holding a grudge against the sword that took his childhood and scrapped it like it was nothing. Time also tends to like his masks, even after all these ages. in the chapter Masks. Time is showing off his masks, even almost giving Warriors a heart attack by scaring him with the skull mask, joking and laughing with everybody. But when Wild brings out the Majora's mask, Time looks amused at the husk of his dead enemy, even talking about the story behind the mask. Time comments on how he would be far more scared of what destroyed the demon than the demon itself. Later, Time puts on another mask that lets him see strange symbols from Wild's Sheikah Slate. But we will get into that later on when we get to secrets. And lastly, Time's Big Goron sword and his mirror shield. When Wild shows interest in the Big Goron sword, Time protects it from Wild, showing that he knows better than to give Wild any of his actually good equipment. Time is seen as the leader of the chain, always checking in on the others and stopping fights between them as well. This could be from the fact that he is physically and mentally the oldest. This doesn't mean that he is super serious all the time. Time tends to act kind of childish. Time's relationship with the rest of the chain is interesting. He and Twilight both know that they are related, so he sees the hero of Twilight as his own blood. He also learns later on that Wind is a part of the timeline that he abandoned, seeing him as another of his successors. We don't know if he knows that Legend is also one of his successors, but from what we've seen so far, he respects his strength. Time tends to watch out for the younger heroes, knowing what it was like back then and how he had gotten out of the "will always be alone" mindset with the help of Malon. Some of the others in the chain have stated they didn't think that a happy life was possible, and Time is here to show them that it is. Let's break this down. Let's talk about Time and his wife, Malon. The first time we hear about her is in Powerful Ring, where Time confirms to the others that yes, he is married, and the ring he is wearing is his wedding band. We also learn that he doesn't have any kids, yet. When we finally do meet up with Malon, he runs to her and the two embrace. He is happy to be home, and the others notice how relaxed he is there. The entire time he is home, Time shows just how much that he loves his wife, and how much he cares about her safety. Pointing out the ring he gave her, Legend notices it has a powerful protection spell to it. Malon actually comments about the ring Time proposed to her with. It was a super shiny, over-the-top, glitter bomb of a ring, but they ended up settling with a much simpler one. This is actually a reference to another fan-made Zelda comic called A Tale of Two Rulers. It follows Zelda and Ganon getting married for a peace treaty. Ganon gets a ring for Zelda and instantly says no because of the fact that it is the glitter bomb ring. It's really funny to see the difference between the hero of Time and Ganon, because Time was like, oh, I gotta give this to her, and Ganon was like, no. Showing a big difference between the two, even though they ended up at the same note. I'll put a link to A Tale of Two Rulers in the description below as well if you guys want to go and check it out. I highly recommend it. And lastly, Time tells Malon about Twilight being their descendant, remarking that he is very proud of their boy. Speaking of Twilight, Time is Twi's ancestor. It's shown throughout the comic before they go to see Malon that Twi has told Time that he thinks they're related. When they finally go and see Malon, Time had his wife guessing who the descendant could have been. When he finally tells her who it is, Time admits that he is proud of Twilight. Time also knows about Twi's wolf form, and when Twi goes down, he is the first to snap everybody back to the task at hand, getting Twilight out of there, going as far as to unleash a great attack, taking out many of the enemies, then lifting the wolf and carrying him to safety. Time shows that he worries about his descendant, but takes his word when he says that he's alright, believing in him. But as soon as Twi shows that he isn't indeed alright, and learning that a fairy does nothing, Time stops, assesses the situation, then leaves the others with warriors in charge to personally bring Twilight to town to get some real treatment. When Four and Hyrule show up to try and help Twi, Time is there, watching over, making sure Twilight is all patched up. Later, when Twi is rambling, Time reassures him of his deeds, again saying that he is proud of him. Then after, he thanks Wild for his words of wisdom for his descendant. When things aren't looking well and Hyrule is resting, Time is still awake, being on edge. Warriors is the one who checks on Time, making sure he's alright, and if there's anything he can do to help lift the burden, acting like an older brother to him. But Time believes in Twi, and he does his best to help Hyrule heal him. When Twi is going and seeing everybody, able to get up and move around after being finally healed, Time is the one to notice how Twi is still not at his full strength, and tells him to sit down. Time is smiling again, able to joke with Twi as well as smile to Wind and the others. In the flashback of Twi coming to, he calls Time Russell, which is something to point out because Russell was like a father figure to Twi, meaning Time comes off as a father figure towards him as well. I swear this isn't Twi's thing, they're very interconnected. Moving on. Now the fact being that Time is the eldest, he knows the others look up to him, especially Wind. The young hero seems to impress him, first starting out with Time reassuring Wind about his experiences with Ganon by commenting about how he himself is bad at telling age. Later on, Time teams up with Wind. Knowing the younger hero can handle himself, he lets him do his own thing. Over the comic, Time really takes Wind under his wing, knowing the younger hero looks up to him. When Wind brings up the timeline for the first time, this was when Time was sure of Twilight being his successor. So he was skeptical at first, but after learning about the legends saying that he disappeared, as well as the fact that the secret of him splitting the Triforce into pieces, he is able to accept the timeline split, as well as Wind being his other successor. Later, in Hero's Legacy, Time says that he's been thinking about what Wind had said about the split, learning about the missing hero and how Wind's Hyrule was flooded, as well as how Ganon is scared of children. Now that gets a laugh out of Time. By the time Legend finishes his speech about how they all came out of nowhere, Time is already deep in thought once more, not laughing with the others. The last time that we see Time so far in the comic, we see him commenting about everyone getting some real rest, making me think that he's sleeping right now. Time's advice. Time is seen giving advice to the others multiple times. Starting with Sky, he notices how Sky seems to be down from the song that he is playing. After learning how Sky misses his Zelda, Time tells him about how he has dealt with these feelings, questioning himself not as a hero but as Malon's partner and being a good man. He also comforts Wild with this same problem. Time tends to check on and watch over the others as well, seen multiple times looking out for the others. Another moment for that is when Hyrule's tired after healing Twilight all day. He puts a blanket over him, and he is always the one to ask if someone is okay. When Legend comes back to camp with pink hair, Time asks if it's something that he needs to know about. When Legend says no, he accepts the answer and moves on. He did the same thing with Twilight when he got injured. He accepts the answer the others give him, unless if something happens and he needs to act. He respects their assessment of their injuries and problems. Ah yes, secrets, my favorite part. Time has very few secrets. One that has been slowly being revealed is the timeline split being his fault. We have seen 2 of the 3 revealed so far, another secret being the Fierce Deity's mask. Wind currently knows about the mask being a last resort. Time doesn't hide the fact that he doesn't like the Master Sword, as well as he even shows the others the Ocarina of Time, explaining what it does. Most of his secrets have been on full display. Even the fact that he and Twilight are related, that was a secret, but now it has been revealed to the others. But there is one thing that he hasn't told anybody yet. One thing that has happened during the events of the comic. Now, I want to give a quick thanks to LogicDuel123 on Tumblr for translating what Time has seen from Wild's Sheikah Slate. The text starts off with system settings as well as updates, looking for towers from the slate to connect to, even a small message from JoJo saying, "Thanks for your time and dedication." Probably going through the effort to translate this, but there is a hidden message within all of the text, and that message being, someone will die. Now, from a storytelling standpoint, we can see that it isn't going to be Twilight, because it would also be redundant to re-injure him and have the scared, oh no, he's gonna die again situation happen once more. But the situation definitely stressed Time out because he knows of the secret message. And I personally do not think it's going to be Time either. unless if Malin announces that she's pregnant, like, soon, it couldn't be Time. As well as the fact, in his conversations with Twilight in Twilight Princess, it's clearly said that Time has tried to teach others his secrets, but they didn't listen, so Twilight is now learning them. But there is in fact one person in the chain that I personally think will die, but I'm gonna be mean and make you guys wait until their video. Choose wisely in the vote in the comments below. Time is the leader. He takes responsibility for the chain. He also keeps an eye on everyone, even forgetting to take care of himself until someone else checks on him. He's the one who stands strong for the others, showing them that happiness can be achieved even after those who have sacrificed so much for others. He takes command even when things get out of hand, but will listen to the others and take them at their word when need be. When he is forced to step in when a problem arises, he scolds those who caused it, giving the disappointed face. Nonetheless, he cares deeply for the rest of the chain, knowing that they look up to him as well as they reflect the respect that he gives them. He is very open with his secrets and does his best to help those who wish to hide their secrets, well, hide them. Unless something happens, then he is forced to tell the others. Time is an open book. He will offer up information willingly, as well as listen to those who wish to speak. If he's curious about something, he will ask, as well as respect the answer given to him, and doesn't argue. He takes all the information in and thinks about everything carefully. At the same time, he is a jokester. He still has his masks and will play pranks on the chain, startling them and laughing with them when they are all relaxing and somewhat safe, taking his armor off, showing him relaxing, and he tends to be more joyful then. Time's leadership is respected by the chain as well as he respects them. He knows they are all capable fighters, no matter the age they are currently. He knows they know their limits and strengths, but will step in when they try to put on a brave face. Time listens to each of them individually, and they all seem to respect him for this, valuing his opinion. Time shows that even with a lifetime of hardship, joy and happiness can still be achieved, being a light at the end of the tunnel for the younger heroes who follow and look up to him, and the fact that he is open to them and clearly cares about and respects each and every one of them. Time is a pillar to those around him, and a goal to become, being a great leader to them all. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This one was much nicer to me than Forest's video, and I will hopefully not have to cry in the corner with Legend's video anytime soon. I see you voting. Are you going to have me do it sooner or later? It's up to you guys, but I can't wait to see. Now, Time has 3 successors, each going down a different timeline. I'm going to put it up to you guys to choose which timeline we are going down. In the comments, I'm going to make 3 comments, each saying a different timeline. Whichever comment gets the most likes after the first 3 days of the video being up will be the timeline we go down. The comment with the second most likes will be the second timeline we go down, and the third will be the last. You guys can vote more than once. It is okay. Now, as a refresher, what are the 3 timelines and which links are in each one? Starting from left to right, we have the Downfall timeline, with the hero of Legend and his successor, the hero of Hyrule. Then there is the Child timeline, with Time's descendant, the hero of Twilight. And lastly, there is the Adult timeline with the hero of Wind. Alrighty, go make your votes. I can't wait to see who you guys will vote for. I can't wait to see who you guys will choose. Thanks again for watching, and I will hopefully see you all for episode 4, who we will be doing your choice. Voting will be up for 3 days, then I'll announce who won, and what order we will be doing for the rest of the timelines. But until then, bye! Also, in Deep Shadows Part 2, it looks like the fairies remember Time. They are in the Lost Woods in Time's era, and they are fussing over him, and it makes me happy thinking that they remember him. Alright, that's my little secret for today. Until next time, bye-bye.